Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy. Okay, this week's sponsors, Christy, who are they?
David Kammer and Malgorzata Mensah, Bruce Kodish, and Daniel Estes, and everybody that bought the book.
Rise in animal sacrifices and voodoo rituals all over the United States. So not only in Springfield, Ohio, we're going to be talking about it today in the Leo Zagami Show, together with a lot of news, disturbing news, because, I mean, it seems like Joe Biden met with the British Prime Minister and also pushed by Justin Trudeau. They all want to get Zelensky to use these long-range missiles in Russian territory, which will automatically mean the conflict will, at that point, extend between NATO and Russia. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a negative news that we bring you this week, but we have to be realistic about it. In the meantime, let's start after the sound. Christy?
Can you move it this way? That's better. Yeah, I'm not even in the freaking frame. The freaking frame.
Christy.
How was my week? It was a lot of fires.
And this book, which is incendiary book. This book is in the bestseller list at the moment on Amazon. Volume 11 of My Confessions. The past, present, and future of mind control from Sun Tzu to MK Ultra and beyond. And of course, we have also Christie's book, which is the Zagami Family Cookbook. This book will transform you in a chef. Christy, how much are we selling this book for? Because some people are asking me. Of course, we have a difference when it comes down to. Let me position better this camera, guys. You have to understand. This book has colored pictures, so it costs a little bit more to produce. But how much are we selling it for?
$18.99.
Which is a very good price indeed. Huh? It is a good price. Huh? Yeah, not today. A little bit. Okay. Let's start. We have so much to talk about, and of course, a very disturbing subject, to say the least. The first part of the show, as we have now made you acquainted with the system for a while, you know, it's on Facebook and YouTube also. But the second part of the show is exclusively on X and Rumble. And of course, if you want to watch the entirety of the show without any interruption, I would suggest you go on X, on the blue checkmarked account of Leo Lion Zagami, or on Rumble at the official Leo Zagami. But also we are broadcasting on Telepandemia Il Clone, which gets a few viewers also from the English-speaking world. So a couple of channels on Rumble and one official blue checkmarked profile on X. That's where you can follow the entirety of the show, because in the second part of the show, we like to be a little bit more daring. And we will be more daring even today. And of course, you can also watch us on band.video. Guys, this book, $15.99 since Labor Day, only for the next 2 weeks. Then we're going to have to go back to the old price. But at the moment, it's $15.99, which is a great price. Well, let's start talking about we all know what has been happening since Trump has, of course, talked about this subject, the backlash, the leftist media saying that Trump is pushing conspiracy theories. But guys, it's a reality. It's a reality. I mean, Haitians have this tradition. They eat cats. It's for them, a cat is not really a domestic animal. On top of that, they sacrifice animal to their voodoo gods. That is also an important thing that we need to discuss, because here in the United States, it's not the first time that Haitians have bestowed their influence, and not always the best influence, like in the case of Louisiana Voodoo. Louisiana Voodoo, which is now is kind of like getting a new life in recent years, was very popular until early 20th century, and it is the product also of Haitian slaves that were brought to this country, or others who came here after Haiti reached its independence from France. Let me show you this guy discussing his Haitian heritage and family.
I'm not saying it's in the same scale that we eat chicken and burgers. I'm saying it happens because they do it out of struggling, not because they do it because they want to. It's like how people in Korea eat dogs. And before you say they don't, when I was in the Marines, stationed in Japan, I had people coming back from deployments and being on missions out there saying, hey, yeah, they came back, yeah, they had dog burgers. Bruh, people in Colorado eat mountain lions. My in-laws talk about hunting and eating mountain lions. And when I went to the Philippines, they tried to get me to eat an egg where the chicken fetus was partially developed. Bro, people eat a lot of wild shit around the world, and you're just mad that I said that Haitians eat cat, and I'm just trying to say I'm like making that shit up. Why would I make that shit up? That's nothing to be proud of. I'm not saying I did it. I'm not even saying it's widespread. I'm just saying it happens out of necessity in very poor places.
And we have confirmation of this tradition. Remember, animal sacrifice is a central part of Voodoo, a religion that originated in Haiti, of course, before that in Africa, but in Voodoo, animals such as chicken, goats, pigs, dogs, and turtles are sacrificed during ceremonies. This is a reality of Voodoo. The animal's blood is then used to seal deals with spirits, the Loas, which are these spirits in Voodoo, which are very powerful. It's said to be very powerful. They're also known as the Leva, and they are part of this African diasporic religion. So the carcass also is often buried or burned as part of the ritual. Voodoo practitioners believe that the animal, though, must struggle during the death. So the sacrifice for this ritual to be effective can obviously lead to animal torture, which is really insane. However, in the United States, the 1993 US Supreme Court decision, Church of Lukumi Babule Aye versus City of Ariela, upheld the right of Santeria adherents to practice ritual animal sacrifice. So there's always going to be the possibility that with this escamotage of, the ritualistic, the religious side of things. Now, Santeria, also known as Voodoo, is also part of this African religious tradition. Santeria is widespread in places like Cuba, for example, and you have the babalaos there that are the ones in charge of sacrificing the animals. Now, the spread, of course, has increased as also the immigration from Cuba has increased. But Santeria is relatively different. The animal sacrifice, though, are performed at birth, marriage, and death rites to cure the sick, to initiate new members, priests, and during their annual ceremonies. And the sacrifice animal is, in that case, et. Now, the fact that Haitians eat cats. Do Haitians eat cats? Yes, they do eat cats. It's not something that Trump has made up. This is an article from March 27, 2019. Do Haitians eat cats, dogs, and geese? At the time already, was among the top 10 most frequently asked questions of Haitians in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and even professional settings. Unfortunately, the article states, many Haitians feel uncomfortable answering this question. I, on the other hand, don't have this problem. I will spill the beans and let you in on this little secret, he says. Now, Christy, you want to read?
Oh, lovely. I can read it. Eating cat meat is not a daily or a nationwide practice in Haiti. However, some
Yes, yeah, we have a little bit of a block here. Some eat cats on December 14th, which is a national festivity called Réveillon, a big Christmas party, eating cats.
That's terrible.
This is exclusively known to a select group of Haitians found mostly in countryside villages, but those are the ones who are coming here and, of course, have invaded also Springfield. I think that one of the best testimonies this week has been by this gentleman, which I will show you, which I think really very honestly describe what's going on and gives us also another perspective, which I already heard about in Italy when I was denouncing the same kind of practices connected to the Nigerians and their use of prostitutes, which are blackmailed with animistic voodoo style kind of practices. Now, this Caribbean gentleman comes from Jamaica, also talk about the fact that they give their weed, there's an exchange with the Haitians, but the people who transport these drugs use the animal sacrifice to engrace the gods so they're not seen by the authorities, the police, the Coast Guard. Very interesting testimony indeed. And then we're going to go to the rest of the United States, guys, because there is increased animal sacrifice all over the United States, including New York, including Texas. We will be discussing that.
That's weird.
Well, it's happening.
Not Haitian, but I am from the Caribbean. The Haitian immigrants are indeed eating animals. Let me tell you something about these people. Not only are they harvesting cats for food, but also for witchcraft purposes, voodoo purposes. Understand this. If you don't want to take my word for it, go out there. Meet a Haitian. Talk to them about it. This is not something they aren't proud of. It's their culture. They eat these animals and they use the blood and bones of these animals for voodoo and witchcraft purposes. This is not a joke. The fact that they are here illegally, Kamala did say she gave them a temporary protection, over 100,000 of them. But here's the thing, for good luck purposes, they will harvest cats. They will use the blood and the bone of these cats. They consume these things because they believe it brings good luck and good juju. This is not a joke. It's a fact. This is their culture. This is what they believe. They will die on a hill on this belief. Like I said, meet a Haitian, talk to them about it. This is not something I'm guessing. This is something I am telling you. I've had conversation with these people. I know of plenty of these people who, in Jamaica, where I am from, they have a great relationship with wrongdoers in Jamaica. These people they trade good, well, not mine, but our Jamaican good ganja for weed, for cocaina, and for pew-pews. And every single move they make, they perform their rituals, which they believe after these rituals, they will not get touched, they will not get caught by the police or by law enforcement, Coast Guard, the military, whatever. They have very well success rate when it comes to traveling by boat across the Jamaican-Haitian border. They do this damn near weekly. Like I said, this is not speculations from me. This is a fact. I am telling you, I know these people. I know what I'm talking about. I could even go into more details of the things they do when it comes to their rituals based off of stories that I've heard from them directly. But due to the sensitivity of TikTok, I'll leave that alone. But understand this, those ducks / geese / dogs / cats, they are going missing. They are eating them. They are harvesting their blood for witchcraft and voodoo purposes. I'm not capping. Do not come on here, white liberals and black liberals. Do not come on here and tell me that I'm capping or I'm talking bullshit or I don't know what I'm saying. This is stuff I personally have spoke with these people about, okay? This is pure knowledge. This is not speculations. And give it time, it will end up on your doorsteps. This is their culture, this is their belief, this is what they do regardless. Fresh out of Haiti, they're not Americanized. They are gonna practice what they know, hands down. And this is something, like I said, they are proud of, okay? So you can locate one of them and talk to them yourself. And if an Americanized Haitian want to get up on under my comments and try to deny any of this, before you do that, talk to your meme and your grandma and your grandpepe who's been born and raised in Haiti, who know about this stuff, before you come and try to challenge me on anything, okay? I'm spitting facts, point blank, period, no question, okay? And like I always say, Trump Vance, I was choking on that one, too much truth, but Trump Vance 24, baby, let's go.
Let's go. Well, hopefully. I mean, these people have the courage after Trump actually spilled the beans of what is going on to criticize him and, of course, accuse him of fake news. That is what happens here. Fortunately, Trump repeated even as later as yesterday here in California, these accusations, because it's important that people understand this is not a joke, and it's not happening only in Springfield, Ohio. And of course, the Clintons themselves used to be involved with voodoo and with Haiti, of course, because, you know, where there is pain and suffering, well, you always have the Clintons coming in. This is an article from 2015. That time, Bill and Hillary Clinton went to a voodoo ceremony in Haiti. Kevin Sullivan and Rosalind Elderman have two new stories out on the Clinton Foundation's recent high-profile work in Haiti. But Bill and Hillary Clinton interest in Haiti goes back much, much further, they say. In his memoir, My Life, the former president, we're talking about Bill Clinton, wrote a vivid account of a trip, the couple's first trip to Haiti in 1975, which had been a wedding gift from their friend David Edwards, who had some business to do there for Citibank and some extra frequent flyer miles. The guy was also a Freemason that used to go regularly to the lodges there in Haiti. Bill Clinton wrote that the most interesting day of the trip came when he, Hillary, and Edwards got a chance to see voodoo in practice, because there is a connection between voodoo and Freemasonry, which I actually outline in volume 8 of my Confessions. And on my recent book, volume 11, I talk about the hypnotic power of drumming during the voodoo rituals, as well as the satanic rituals and also some Sufi rituals. This is a part of the hypnotic trance, of the mind control trance you are brought in when you are participating to such rituals. Going back to the Clintons, they described as a brief course in voodoo theology. The Free Visitors described the whole thing as a brief course in voodoo theology, and then the late afternoon ceremony began. Clinton wrote, here, if you want, you can cite Bill Segal, man.
Oh, lovely. After several minutes of rhythmic dancing to pounding drums, the spirits arrived, seizing a man and a woman. The man proceeded to rub a burning torch all over his body and walk on hot coals without being burned. The woman, in a frenzy, screamed repeatedly, then grabbed the live chicken and bit its head off. Then the spirits left, and those who had been possessed fell to the ground. Gross.
This was a great moment for the Clintons. I mean, can you imagine? Let's go to another lady, this time from Springfield, Ohio, the place there's been a lot of talk about, who gives their own experience about these voodoo rituals.
Animals going missing, ducks being basically
Yes, sir.
taken.
There's pictures of that too.
Can you speak on that? Have you ever seen that in person?
I've seen, the only thing I've seen, I did see a pig's head laying down in Snyder Park.
You saw a pig's head?
A pig's head.
Like it had been cut off? Or?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't really see that every day, do you?
No, you don't. It's kind of surprising.
Wow.
But then our city wants to pass it off as cult stuff.
That's cult stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that has anything to do with,
You see, it's cult stuff. They want to pass a law. With the excuse of religion, of cultic practices of various kinds, they can get away with murder. The murder and torture of animals.
The connections with voodoo that Haitians commonly have? I mean, in Haiti,
Well,
it's a
there's
very
actually-
commonly practiced thing.
I'm sorry. There's actually been a couple people that I know that have been told that they were going to be cursed by voodoo.
And how does the curse of voodoo work? So this is something that I would like to explain to Americans. Now, they have, for the curses, the Haitians use a sort of gun, mimics a gun, but in reality it's not a gun. It's something you address to the enemy you want to curse, you want to reach with your malevolent energies, and you have actually some shooting, some gunpowder in, with bullets that don't really, it only detonates and they fall on the ground, symbolically, though they metaphysically reach the enemy and curse him. So how is this whole thing made? It's called the Jacatu. That is the name of this cursing thing, because then they will, for example, go in front of the house of a lady like this and do this, but how does it work? They recite some magical words while they are shooting these imaginary bullets that, like I said, they're not imaginary, they're real, but they will not be detonated in a way that, because it's only a object that mimics a gun, but it's not a gun. It's an analogic weapon. What it means, analogic weapon? It means you are working through analogy, like these animist religions work, and ancient cultures used to work with analogy. Analogy means that you are representing something here that is somewhere else. A metaphysical reference can be made with a physical object, and that's the analog. This is basically, I'm doing this symbolically, and I'm moving something in the other realm, in the invisible realm, in the occult and the paranormal. So you have this, a religion which they say benefits people. Now but in reality, it's a religion filled, yes, somebody says sympathetic magic. Definitely, sympathetic magic is from analogia. That's the old term from this analog science. So the Jacatu, there is various versions of the Jacatu. There is another one that activates with the heating of the sun. And it is, a way for them to shoot their curses. So this is what happens in Haitian voodoo. You have the use of curses, you have divination, you have, of course, a religion, because voodoo is a religion. On the contrary of hoodoo, hoodoo is a belief that still comes from Africa, but is focused on the properties of the herbs. It's something a little bit like more of an holistic approach, as they will call it today. So
like a witch's brew, like
yeah,
like that, or like some kind of a tea or something like that.
That is more like that's what Voodoo is about. It's different, and that's the distinction can be described by this lady. I mean, she does an excellent job. Very brief, but I think it's a video that could clarify it.
Are both African American spiritual practices, but they have some key differences. Hoodoo is more focused on the natural environment, while Voodoo is a religion with a strong emphasis on connection with the spirit world. Hoodoo, also known as root work, involves the use of herbs, roots, and other natural objects for spiritual and medicinal purposes, and is often used for protection, luck, and love spells. Hoodoo also incorporates Christian elements and is often practiced alongside Christianity. Voodoo is a religion that originated in present-day Benin and Togo, but evolved into the practice closely associated with Haiti by way of the transatlantic slave trade. It involves the worship of spirits called Loa, and practitioners use ritual objects to communicate with these spirits. Voodoo has a hierarchical priesthood, litany, prayers, and rituals much like other organized religions.
Okay, much like organized religions, but there is also a vicious element to it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Absolutely. Clinton wrote that his brief foray into the world of Voodoo furthered his fascination with the way different cultures try to make sense of life, nature, and the virtually universal belief that there is a non-physical spirit force at work in the world. The trip to Haiti came to a pivotal time for Clinton himself, that back then was a law professor who had lost the political campaign he had waged, a race for Congress, and he was trying to decide whether or not he wanted to run for office, give it another try. So this voodoo ritual didn't come, it came really at a specific time. So by the time they got back from Haiti, and he says, by the time we got back from Haiti, says Clinton, I'm quoting Clinton, I had determined to run for Attorney General. One lesson that Clinton took from Haiti, he wrote in his memoir, is the Lord works in mysterious ways. But which Lord is that? Satan? Because the practices of voodoo, guys, have done nothing to benefit Haiti. Haiti is a country that since the Declaration of Independence from France has constantly worked with these laws, with these spirits, but they have achieved nothing. That's the thing. They have achieved nothing. The spirits, the laws that we find also in Louisiana voodoo, because like I said just earlier at the beginning of the show, voodoo has already arrived in America a long time ago and arrived in New Orleans, arrived in Louisiana. Louisiana, of course, after was sold by the French. But the thing is this, that it's not the first time that these Haitians bring this culture, which is very secretive. I mean, they always have this secretive characteristic. And voodoo and hoodoo are a large part of the culture of New Orleans. And here it says, voodoo traveled to New Orleans by the tradition carried by the West Africans and Haitian slaves. The practice was influenced through colonialism and the slave trade and by the presence of French, Spanish, and Creoles in New Orleans, so there were several variations of voodoo. And this is an imaginary map of the slave trade that eventually will bring, already back in the days, in the 19th century, in the early 19th century, a big community of voodoo practitioners. In fact, here it says, after the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, things began to change and morph. But in New Orleans, the practice became mainly focused on Grease paraphernalia, novelties, and voodoo queens, and There was scandalous orgies, rituals. The voodoo queens are the ones who are in control of the situation. The women are the high priestesses of this religion. But of course, the animal sacrifice, it's done by the man. So, moving further in this whole situation, let's see what's happening around the United States. Because like I said, this is not about only Springfield. This is about something which is arriving all over the United States. It's reaching all over the United States.
Is there voodoo in Italy?
The voodoo that we have in Italy is more closer to the animistic hoodoo practices from Africa, the original voodoo. Okay? It's similar. And it's actually used to blackmail the prostitutes that the Nigerian prostitutes brought to Italy by the Nigerian mafia, because they are firm believers in this power. And so they get blackmailed. And if they do something wrong, they will be cursed and their life will be ruined. So this has nowadays has been proven. It's not just a matter of speculation. But, for example, in Houston, Texas, check out.
Jackson, Heim, and others here have seen.
So my mom was out walking her dog, and she passed by, saw that a black cat was severed in half.
Cats cut in half, others with their paws cleanly chopped off.
We have not found any blood around any of the bodies that we've picked up, and we've also, all of their internal organs are still around.
Each of these cats are part of a community colony. The first found dead 2 weeks ago. The second cat, this calico named Stella, found mutilated this past Sunday. And the third just reported on Wednesday.
And for this to happen 3 times in 2 weeks when we haven't seen anything like this in 30 years, I find it hard to believe that that's just a random animal attack.
Neighbors that live along Park Drive have filed at least 3 separate reports with Houston police. Animal cruelty detectives are investigating, saying there's simply just not enough evidence to know if this was done by an animal or a person.
We don't know where the other half is.
While we were interviewing Jackson, Houston's BARC team arrived to pick up the remains of the latest victim, collecting them for necropsy a full day after these residents called 911.
We talked to the officers yesterday, and as you can see, the body is still out here being eaten.
This is news from last week. And it's not only happening in Texas or in Ohio, it's happening also in New York State, in New York City. Animal sacrifices are on the rise in New York City.
Animal sacrifices are on the rise in Queens, New York, with chickens, pigs, and other animals being tortured, mutilated, or killed in rituals near Jamaica Bay. In recent weeks, at least 9 injured or dead animals have been found in Spring Creek Park and the Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge, including live pigs with severed ears, a baby rat tied up with chicken bones, and a decapitated chicken. Rescuers suspect a sect of Hindu devotees and other religious groups are behind the sacrifices, the New York Post has reported. Now, local leaders and activists are calling for an end to these practices, highlighting animal cruelty laws and increased animal rescues in the area.
Okay, so now we have understood that this is a rising and growing phenomenon connected, of course, to the recent illegal immigration that is obviously escalating this whole thing. This is quite clear. The Democrats are kind of washing away all this, accusing whoever makes these accusations somebody who is a conspiracy theorist, because they want to keep on this influx of illegal immigrants. They don't care that the practices violate the fundamental principles and nature of American culture, of American tradition. We don't eat cats here, we don't eat dogs here, we're not in China here. We don't care what you do in your own country, but when you come here, you have to follow the rules of our country. That is really the only way we will preserve any decency, because if we want to abandon ourselves like the Democrats want, well, then it's going to become complete chaos. Mind control, it's behind voodoo practices, as I explain also in my latest book. Such practices are, of course, very much a product also of mind control, which is exercised within their environment. And these entities that they want to please, of course, are the same entities that people like the Clintons and others in their rituals are trying to please, their satanic rituals. We have only discovered in the last few days that a sorority member of Kamala was the journalist in charge of the debate.
Ridiculous.
We now, for those who have followed us the last few weeks, you know we have made a whole special about Kamala and Freemasonry, her involvement with her sorority founded by Freemasons. I will suggest you watch that episode. And at the same time, that means that, of course, Trump was fighting 3 against 1. 2 journalists, one of them even a sorority member, means like he had against him 2 of the same lodge members when he was doing what he did. And so when he comes out during that debate with what has happened in Springfield, they fact-check him. They only fact-check Trump. As you noticed, they only fact-checked him. They didn't fact-check
She was
Kamala.
coming out with all kinds of ridiculous nonsense.
But, you know, she can get away with murder. She can get definitely away with murder. So here we are, guys, with a situation that is destroying the very fundamentals of American society. I mean, when you have these people with these hideous practices arriving to your city of 50,000, 50,000 people, 59,000 live in a happy city, classic American city of Springfield, Ohio, and suddenly you get 20,000 immigrants in that city. And they, of course, are...
Is that the numbers there?
Yes, that's the number, 20,000 migrants that, of course, have brought their own traditions. Now, they will, of course, come out eventually by defending themselves by stating this is a religious practice. That's the only thing that in the end they will... but is it a religious practice? Is it a religious practice?
Well, it shouldn't.
Oh, what is this they got on the grill?
Is that Pacific Kiss Cats?
Man, listen, man. They
Oh
got
my
a cat right
God,
there. His ass better get missing, man. Look like his homies on the grill, man. What the fuck?
That's so messed up.
Yeah, so...
But that's like in on a weekend and you're sitting in your backyard in Springfield, Ohio, and you're having a beer or whatever, and all of a sudden you smell some barbecue and it's not the usual barbecue. And then, something like that that's on the grill, it's just terrible smelling,
No, actually, no. It's
what?
No, because it tastes like chicken and it smells like chicken.
What?
So, I know.
This is insane.
I know, but it might surprise people, but that's how it is. I saw people myself eating wild cat, which is a little bit different.
I don't know about that because when I lived in base housing in Japan, we had some neighbors and they got in trouble and the police came because they cooked a cat and it smelled bad. It smelled really bad in that building. Everybody was dying, coughing, and gagging. So I don't know about your good smelling cat.
No, I mean, here I'm talking about a wild cat who is probably brought up in. I don't know how good this cat smells. I want to know. I'm interested.
That's just nasty.
It's nasty.
It's just wrong.
Guys,
I mean, it's beyond nasty. It's not like it's nasty. If you want to eat some
proper food,
it's wrong.
Christie's Zagami family cookbook.
Why are you going to bring my book into this right now? It's not the time.
I thought it was the right time.
I didn't wear any kind of animal print today out of respect for the animals. So
yes, that's important. Now, if you want to support our show, ladies and gentlemen, this week we brought you an extra show because of your sponsorship. If you give us a little bit extra.
We did it. We actually did it last week. We came back and did an extra
This
show.
week we did the Wednesday.
Well, yeah. Well, it's last now.
Well, okay. So.
But we did last week, Wednesday.
Okay.
We came back.
So
It's
we
fun.
do what we say, and we maintain our promise. If you support us, we will bring you more show. If not, of course, we are forced to do something else, as my main activity is that of writer, and I will continue to promote my latest book, because this book is very important to understand also about psychological operations, cognitive warfare, various aspects of the mind control warfare, which are literally raping the masses, to use a term from a popular writer who coined this term in 1940 with a book called The Rape of the Masses, who was a disciple, by the way, of Ivan Pavlov, known for his experiments in conditioning, which started on dogs, which he didn't eat, though. Yeah, he didn't eat. But that's, at least, he didn't eat them. These entities that the Satanists worship, that the OTO worships, that the Illuminati of the various sects worship, are the same entities that the Haitians worship. In fact, at one point, guys, and I think, I should pick up here the book somewhere if I find it. Yeah. One point, I was initiated myself in the Haitian Knights Templars by a voodoo priest, Nicolais the Master.
Is this in your book? Oh yeah, I remember this way back in the day when that book came out.
Okay, let me show you here the document. If you manage to see it, I mean, it's not really.
You were not hanging out with nice people in Norway.
Well, of course. Well, at the time, it doesn't seem like it's clear. I don't get a clear image of it. But guys, this is now I get a clear image. Okay, you can see this. It says here. And let me put the glasses. 54. I need to. It says, let it be known to Leo Zagami on this day, the 3rd of March of the year 2002 of the common era, did receive into the 8th degree of the Order of Oriental Templarism. And here it says, Lodge conserving and preserving of Franco-Haitian Templars and the regular Oriental Templars. So Franco-Haitian Templars. And of course, it was connected with voodoo. In fact, here there is actually a voodoo symbol in the seal. So
is that where you got those masks? Remember those masks?
Yes, I have.
Or is that
that's from Africa. Yeah, somebody brought me from Africa.
Yeah.
Mask. In any case, I experience in the OTOA, because that's the OTOA, it's not the OTO, it's the Ordo Templi Orientis Antigua, which was created by a guy called Germain, who basically went, he was a French, these were Afro-French Freemasons that went to Haiti. He married with the Voodoo Queen, the daughter of an important Voodoo representative, and he then gave birth to this OTOA. He was a member of the OTO, connected to Theodore Royce, the original OTO, and then he gave birth to this OTOA that in turn, through Michael Berthiaud, who is still alive and lives in Chicago. Chicago. He's a very well-known Gnostic bishop, magician, whatever. I think he's still alive and kicking. And Michael Berthiaud brought in more of the thelemic element, that was mixed in the original creation of the OTOA with voodoo. So they mixed in the teachings of the OTOA, they mixed the Haitian teachings. So I was given a big, I remember, book this big, which I still have, the monastery of the, I don't know how many rays, 7 rays or whatever.
I remember all this.
Yeah. And basically, I was given that, and I could study.
But they mask this kind of like as angel stuff.
No, it wasn't.
Don't they?
No, not really enjoying it. That is voodoo. I mean, voodoo is about
what's the seven rays stuff?
The monastery was a Gnostic that was embracing, of course, the teachings of Michael Berthiaud and the OTOA, and it was, how can we say, inside the OTOA, the works of the Monastery of the Seven Rays were a mix of Gnosticism, of Le Couleuvre Noir, which was voodoo.
Oh.
And so these people, I mean, the guy who initiated me was also a Babalao who had gone in Cuba, got initiated so he could sacrifice animals, and then he had also gone in Africa. So guys,
nice.
I needed an exorcism after all that. No, I need an exorcism after all that, which I did. I had an exorcism after.
Quanti demoni, hi.
I had a lot of demons, and so I had to have an exorcism, which was conducted in Cairo, Egypt. I talk about it in my books.
It's always good to have one of those, definitely, after you practice this kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely, to cleanse yourself on this kind of stuff.
You gotta clear out the whole room, and get it out, air it out.
Now we are ready for part 2 of this show, guys.
Yay.
Huh? Okay, you're ready for part 2 of this show. We will, of course, have a musical break, and we will see you for part 2 of this show exclusively on X and Rumble. We do this so we can avoid the censorship, guys. So don't be lazy. If you're watching us now, let's see how many people are watching us. And there is 50 people watching, not many, but 50 people who are watching us on YouTube, 60 altogether probably. Just move to X, move to Rumble. So
if you can, if they have it in your country, otherwise you could go to X, right?
X, and if the worst goes to the worst, we're going to upload
it's on Facebook
on
too?
BitChute and Band.video. But Facebook, of course, the first part of the show. But now, the second part of the show, or the whole show, you will find on Band.video, BitChute, also in the following hours. Let's move to part 2 after the track by Vincenzo Viceversa, the visuals that are always astonishing and very appropriate by Albert. Christy, who were the sponsors of today's show before we go to part 2?
Daniel Estes, Bruce Kodish, David Kammer, and Margaret Zaminta.
Okay, guys, expect great things from part 2 of this show.
It's going to get good.
Gonna get good.
Stuff you can't say on YouTube.
We're also gonna be talking about Pope Francis, and you know that it's not really easy to talk about Pope Francis and certain things because they bring you down in a second, unfortunately. Yeah. And we're gonna be talking also about
what? Don't say. Oh, if it's about that, don't say.
The virus.
Oh, that? Oh, I thought you meant the debate election.
No. We will be talking about something very interesting. So a lot of things that are very interesting, actually. Part 2. We see you in a moment on X and Rumble.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction. Negative utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization. In the negative utopia, science, technology,